Oh my God. What's up? Hi, everybody. What's happening? Ah, what just happened? Ah! I'm back here. Oh, wow. What an epic journey of many countries and experiences. And so much has happened since we last spoke in this room. Oh, that feels better. Steve Kelly says, wow, a 7-string. Yeah. 7 strings. What else are you guys talking about here? Yes, that's right. Braxall, that's true. Need to learn some 7-string parts, songs. It's an adventure. Anybody out there play 7-string? Anybody ever try it? It's weird. It's like I'm doing it, and I've only done it for 48 hours, but I can do it. And it's like if you just pick it up and try and riff on it, you're like, oh. But if you pick it up and learn parts on it, like you've got a goal, it's not as hard as what I would have thought, actually. It's interesting. So anyways, I'm having one made right now, but the nice folks at Sir lent me the one that you saw in the photo for the thumbnail. It's actually really nice. It plays amazing. It's a flat, well, just show it to you, flat black and super metal looking kind of. It's actually super great, really solid. Obviously, I'm modern. This is what the model that they do. Fairly sort of porous looking, this wood. It's a raw, obviously raw sort of flat finish. I wonder what it's made out of. If I had to guess, I would say it's ash, but it's not very heavy. So plays great. Like the action's super low, frets are wonderful. It's just super easy to play. Like, so anyway, my guys at Sir are always rocking me out, helping me out. Love the family. They're the best. Yeah. Look at this guy. I mean, I want to know how you get to that low A. And all the way up the neck, like I need to. Anyways, somebody's looking for a new power supply. I need to power a few high current pedals and a few normal overdrives. So I'm very happy with the Friedman supplies, just on the basis of I've used them for years, and I haven't had an issue, knock on my desk. So that tells me, they've been all over the place. They're obviously switching power transformers that work all over the world, 100 to 240 or whatever. I've had no issues. So, I'm going to recommend them. Before them, I used G-Lab on my board. I had some G-Lab power supplies. I'm not sure if they're sort of around that much anymore, but they were also quite good. I think the new Voodoo Lab stuff has a great reputation. Heard nothing but good things. Oh, and the Eventide Power Max by Kiox or whatever it's called. That's great. And I've had that on my desk here in the studio for years. They work great. They've got all their switching voltages on every output and stuff. It's probably one of the most versatile supplies. And I've had absolutely zero problems with it. So I'm sitting here looking at it on my desk right now. I'll show you just the easiest thing. If you don't know the one I mean, it's this guy, those Eventide supplies that look like that. Really, really good. So I would say the Eventide or the Friedman I can personally endorse because that's what I've been using. Saw you in Portsmouth, says the little. Oops. Chat's moving fast. So highlighting different things here. Portsmouth. Was Portsmouth the show that was it the first night of the tour? Or was Bournemouth? I think Portsmouth was the beginning. Yeah, of the tour. And that was a good show. I feel like, of course, you get into the tour another couple weeks or whatever, and then it starts to really gel and all that. So we probably got better as it went on, but I don't think we had any bad shows. We had a really good time. The tour was amazing. I miss all my friends already. The band is super fun. Pete seems to be adapting to the time change. Yeah, I'm doing pretty good. I mean, to be honest, I mean, I'm pretty good at jet lag these days. I come back and I'm able to navigate it going one way or going the other way pretty well. There's always those days. Generally, I find 3 days in or something is the worst. The first day, I generally come back and I'm good, and then I just rally, and you don't know what's happening, but you just do it. And if you can stay up till 11 or 11:30 and then go to bed, you'll probably wake up, if you're me, at 6 and go, 6.5 hours. That's not bad for, jet lag sleep. And I'll do that for the first couple nights. And then the third night, I might have a 4 hours, sleep. And depending on, kind of if you're dealing with any stress or things that you're dealing with or whatever, that always sort of has an effect. But, last night I feel like I sort of already turned the corner. I mean, what day did I come back? I came back the 4th, 6, 7, 8. So I'm 5 days in now. This will be day 5. 5, 6, 7, 8. Yeah, this will be the 5th day I'm waking up here. And last night I slept a good solid 8 hours. Maybe 7, though, because it was daylight savings. I woke up and I saw the clock and it was like, oh, it's 8 a.m. Perfect. Awesome. But that really meant it was 7 because we lost an hour, right? That happened, right? I'm not crazy. It was daylight savings today, right? Because I just noticed the clock on the stove when I went into the kitchen to make coffee was 7, whatever. I was like, oh, yeah. Yeah. What else are you guys talking about? Let's see. What else we got here? I head down to the bottom of the chat and see what you guys are discussing. Hard part when I'm shorted sleep, says the Black Glove. Staying up those few extra hours to get back to normal. Yeah, you gotta, and then you can't go past it. That's the thing, because if you stay up till midnight, it's now 8 a.m. in England or Europe, 9, maybe 9 a.m. depending on where you are. And then if you get into like where it's 9 or 10 a.m., now you've gone past it and now you're up. So at like 2 a.m. you'd be like, God, I don't feel tired anymore. Now I'm up, and then you're in trouble. So I always find it's best to go to bed at 10:30 or 11. Like if you can make it till that time. And then the real trick is to try and stay asleep. Like when you wake up at 3 a.m. or whatever, and you're like, uh-oh. To try and get back to sleep. And I've got numerous tricks for that. But yeah. Let's see here. Any idea when I can buy the PT90s to stick in my PRS? I think you mean 90. I think that's what we're calling it. I would assume, I actually don't know that. I need to get with them to figure out what's going on with a few different things. So I got to ask them that question. Just haven't had enough time kind of since I got back I ran out there, and actually Justin was there, but my artist relations guy and my bud, but John wasn't around and stuff when I had to go out and pick up the 7-string. So I just ran out there to pick up they let me borrow a PT100 because my main tour one is in England, and they'll stay there to start the next tour adventure. So I needed one in town here to do different things with. So ran out, got an amp, got the 7-string. Now he's rocking me out. Let's see here. I got the Synergy Syn 20 IR running 4-cable method with my XFX3, so I can use all the fractal goodies. It rips. Pretty good rig, man. I mean, doing the XFX3 for all the effects, and then all the stuff you can do with the 4-cable method with it and all that. And you've got your 3 channels with the amp and everything, and pretty powerful. I have the new 2 Notes load box here as well, and so I'm going to get into that. I'm sort of going through a little phase here of no videos for the next couple weeks until I can. I've got some a lot of material to learn and stuff for the next couple weeks, and then I need to be able to play it. So I'm concentrating on that. I'm just practicing guitar for 2 weeks. That's my my goal right now, and making sounds and stuff like that. So and then come beginning of April, essentially, I'll have some time and I can get back into videos. So I'll have videos for the new 2 Notes, which seems really cool. I did hear it yesterday for a minute. It seems like it works great. It's a load box and stereo effect loop return thing, essentially the next version of a Torpedo Live type of unit, but with the reamp. So more like Torpedo Reload, I guess. Yeah. Braxel says, really like this push-pull knob on your custom Sur guitars growing on me. It has different tones than my other guitars. Yeah, the push-pull thing really makes it versatile, because when you got that hot humbucker in the bridge, it's a bit of a hammer, you know what I mean? It's a real mid-range and sounds great into overdrive, but then, of course, if you want to clean up or play cleaner sounds, it's like that thing. But pull out that series parallel knob, now you got that cleaner jangle, different voice in the bridge, and makes it real versatile. I agree. Oh, there's Chris from Sur. Hey, buddy, what's up? How are you? That 7-string is African mahogany, black satin finish, previously available on the Modern Satin. Cool. Yeah, it's a really good guitar, Chris. It's like couldn't have been, as difficult or whatever, as much of a challenge as is to, oh, 7-string, here we go. Kind of seamless with this thing, because it was like the action's so perfect and it's set up so beautifully and it sounds great. It's just like, oh, tune's great. I ordered, I've got one coming that's got Floyd on it, but part of me this bridge is terrific because it's just, for my purposes, the fixed thing just as solid as a rock, so, but anyway, it's a really good guitar, and it's none more black. Thanks, Chris. Good to see you. Anyone know somebody making a Super 70s pickup clone? You might hit up the guys at Pariah. They would be the ones, I would think, because they're kind of the Van Halen pickup, like all eras, and they might even, they're a small enough company, maybe they do a custom wine for you or something like that. That particular pickup, I tried one and I didn't think it was that great, but like we did one in that big Van Halen pickup shootout I did, where I popped a bunch of different ones in my Destroyer, and it was really quite weak and just sort of, I don't know, but I think they maybe not all created equal or something. So your mileage may vary. I don't know. At least the Pariah guys, I would think, would have the knowledge to know, like, the background to know if there's different ones, and if you were going to get one, which one you should get and stuff. So maybe hit them up, send them an email or something, and ask them. What straps do you use on your Surs? So I really like, there's these Fairfield strap company that makes really nice straps. And then there's this company as well from, I'm just going to try and find the name here. Where's it? Lamenta. Straps from Argentina that I just love. Lamanta. These straps are so damn cool. They're called Lamanta. Lamanta. So Fairfield makes really great straps, and Lamanta makes really great straps. Lamanta does this kind of, fancy, different sort of leather distressed stuff. Oh, there's me with one on my. So see that kind of distressed, it's gray leather that's got a bunch of it, looks like it's been through the war sort of thing. And I love that strap, man. It's so cool. So check that out. Lamanta or Fairfield. And you're wondering about the oversized strap buttons. Yeah, when you first get them, you might just have to sort of force them over the buttons. But, after a while, I even put the little rubber, sort of like almost like the beer rubber things that, that people used to use. was the top of a Grolsch or whatever, but now you can buy them from, you know, as a Fender accessory or whatever. They're like a little round rubber thing that you slip over the strap button, and the strap literally can't come off. I'll put those over the, even though the Sir buttons are bigger, I'll still put those on. And it holds the strap on there nicely without a big metal strap lock. Why does your signature guitar not use a thumb wheel truss rod adjustment? Sir doesn't do the thumb wheel truss rod adjustments. That's not their thing. They do a kind of a discrete headstock and one. And to be honest, I much prefer it. I mean, I don't mind the thumb wheel ones that you stick an Allen wrench in and turn kind of, but I sort of think they're ugly. Like, it's the one feature on, like, say, a new Charvel or something that I think, you know, identifies it as a new Charvel, right? Like, they use that at the end of the neck. And I sort of almost wish they would put a little cover over it or something, like wood flush, so that you can't even see it. Because it just sort of screams modern thumb wheel truss rod adjustment to me. And I, for whatever reason, maybe it's just the traditionalist in me, I don't like that look on those guitars, you know? I always love the look of the squared off sort of 22 fret Charvel fingerboard, the way that they were. I'm talking about like my old Jackson. That look, you know, the original, the way this looks. Love, you know, that. And then the thumb wheel thing, you know, which is, God, I don't have one in here because my, oh yeah, I do. I've got a white and black 78 style Frankie. You know, like on this guitar, for example, super cool because we know what it is, but this always sort of bothers me a little bit. And I kind of almost want to get like a piece of wood to put in there to just sort of fill it, you know, because it identifies it as, you know what I mean? This kind of has that thing. So, yeah. Okay, what else have we got here? So you won't be starting your new album, not for the next, not till after the summer. I will have a little bit of time in. We'll see what happens in April and May because I've got some time then. But yeah, can you have a word with John Sir to make an option for a Sir Modern at 24 and 75? Oh, and your hair's looking cool. Thanks. I feel like it's like looking like a puppy dog today. It's like I look like a Cocker Spaniel. Yeah, I mean, he's probably not going to do that because he's got his plate full with the Osel guitar, right? 24 and 7.5, which I think looks great. But yeah, they're doing those now, of course. So, do you run 9-gauge strings on every guitar? Do you keep a little action? Yeah, I mean, for all, you know, like, I mean, basically, yeah. I mean, 9s on just about everything, I would say, these days. You know, if I've got a guitar and a drop tuning, like a, you know, whole guitar down a whole step or something, I would probably use a 10-gauge on that. But yeah, I'll generally use 9s on everything. I bought some strings just to have a backup set for this 7-string the other day, and I noticed that you actually can't really get 9s for. You can get light top, heavy bottom, but that's like 10s and then heavier on the bottom. You can get a regular sort of 10 slinky gauge, which is what I think I got. Can't even remember. What did I do with those? Are they around here? Let's see what I got from Ernie Ball. I don't know what the heck I did with them. I think they're in the hallway. Let's see, because I want to see these, you know, the different, maybe on the back of the package. Let's see here. Yeah. Went to Guitar Center the other day and bought some things. Guitar Center. What did I get? Yeah, 7-string regular slinky. Just in case I break a string or something. So, iconic slinky tone. Output, treble, mid, and bass. Just getting my feet wet here. I'm a beginner on 7th string. It's really fun, though, I have to say. It's neat. I kind of get it now. Can you make technique videos, maybe with exercises you might use to make playing parts easier without revealing the songs themselves? Make playing parts easier. I sort of don't know what you mean, I guess. Maybe you can explain a little further what you're saying. No, I just don't understand exactly. What guitar do you want to get that you haven't yet? Oh, I would say a 58 to 1960 Les Paul would be all right. Can I just have one of those? No, I don't know. Honestly, there's a bunch of like specific little things that I would love to have. Honestly, I would love a 50s Les Paul. It doesn't have to be could be a 54 that's refinned, or like my old one that I got. I had a 54 that was a top refin and had a headstock repair. That's just fine for me. Something like that, or maybe a conversion or something. At some point, I'd love to have one. I just miss. I had one. So I had one in the 90s and I sold it. And it was so stupid. So, but there's a bunch of little specific things I know this isn't, you'd be like, really? But a Hofner bass, I'd love to have a Hofner bass just because of that boom sound that they make, the Beatles. I'd love to have one around. It's a very specific bass. I'd love to have either early 70s or maybe 65 P bass. That's something that I'd love to have around. I'd love to have a Flying V, because I don't have a Flying V. I'd love to have either one of the new Gibson custom, like a Flying V custom that's got the the block inlays and they got binding and so. I love those. The look of those guitars is killer. Like either a red or a black one. Totally want at some point a Pelham Blue SG, or even just a dark red early 60s or 64 SG. Would really like to have something like that. Late 60s, early 70s Strat, a la Hendrix and Yngwie. Would love to have a big headstock Strat, a real one, just to have a really nice one. It can be played, it can be beat, but one that's got maybe already had big frets put in it and stuff, and it's just like a ripper, because I've got my old Strat, my 65, and I love it, but I'd love like a rock 70s Strat. Richie Blackmore, that kind of thing. Stuff like that, just specifics like that. Do you have much experience with African mahogany? Well, a little bit. Yeah, because I've got it on my Yeren, and it's also like I guess we consider Okume African mahogany, right? So the Sir Aura that I have is that. The one that belongs to Sir that they've had on indefinite loan to me. And it's really great. Is it possible to compare South American mahogany? It's not really that tough of a question, because I went over this a lot with Gil when I had my Yeren made. And he said, do you want it to be that telly on steroids, lighter and airier thing, or do you want it to just be a rock guitar, and heavier and, a little more mid-range centric? And I said, I want that more Jimmy Page, like telly on steroids, in between sounds thing. I want it to be versatile like that. And he said, then you want African, because it is just lighter. I think it's less dense and more, it's just, it's like ashes to alder or something almost. Maybe that's not a great comparison, but I would say it's just the weight and the, it's not as light as ash or something, or maybe it can be. But it just has that more slightly airier, a little more vibe in that sense. But like he said, if you want, a lot of the Honduras stuff, he said, was quite heavy, and or at least more dense and had that more mid-range centric thing. So that's what I hear in a nutshell. Got really inspired by your black Frankie Musicraft K&E guitar and built my own. Oh, cool. Yeah, mine's really heavy too, man. Really heavy. Probably 10. Maybe not quite. Maybe it's 9.5, but it's up there, for sure with the heavy. But they do sound great though, right? It's got it's kind of bright and solid and just rah, like right in your face, you know, like, and I hear a lot of, like, I think George Lynch and, you know, back then that was kind of a thing, like that heavy, you know, maple or ash that was kind of heavy and dense, you know, has that, you know, bright sort of fundamental thing. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay, what else we got here? Seems difficult how hard it is to find a basic black leather strap. Yeah, I would say hit up the, like, either the Fairfield folks or the La Manta, and just ask for, you know, just a basic strap. That's La Manta. They've got this really nice little emblem they put on them, that's kind of classy looking, and I'm sure they would make you a black leather that's just got that on it. Or maybe let's take one more look and see what they if they have anything just like that, just straight up. I know kind of all the rage is doing different, you know. I mean, here's like a black one with rivets in it that this guy's got. Let's see. Here's kind of a black leather with a buckle like that. See if they got anything else. Here's one that's, ooh, that's pretty cool. It's got skulls all the way down it. So I'm getting away from the basics here. But let's see. Oh, there's a pretty basic one. That's got a big emblem on it, but it is basic black. I'm sure they have one. What's this? Well, those are wallets. Wow, they make wallets too. It's pretty nice. That's good stuff. Here's Luke with one that has kind of a big buckle on it. Or is that Lukather? Looks like Lukather. Yeah. Yep. Just an older picture. That's Luke. All right. What else we got here? Oh, well, yeah. I mean, yeah, I know what you mean. Everything's got a little sort of, I don't know, ornamentation on it, but I'm sure they make you a black one, or probably have a black basic in their line. Black Glove says, I still love the DiMarzio clip. I've got one of those. It was cool. I used it for a while. Like 10 years ago, I used it on my my Scala guitar. Yeah. What else we got here? Just looking through the chat here. They do a 9 to 44, says Chris. What's that? 9 to 44? Just not 7-string, you don't mean, right? We were talking about 7-string strings. Or just do you mean 9 to 44 like Ernie Ball strings in general? I saw you in Ghent. That was a good show. You blow me away. Hey, thanks. Appreciate that. Belgium was fun. We played so many places we haven't played before this year with Classic Rock Show, like Belgium, Denmark, new cities in the Netherlands, new cities in Finland, Luxembourg. Really, really fun shows. Europe was great, man. We had such a good time. Such a good time. And Belgium was great. I'd never been to Ghent. It was a really nice city. It's very cool. I had a day off there. It was cool. Yeah. Are there certain warm-ups you can do to get your hands ready to execute certain techniques? Yeah, I mean, I would recommend watching some of the videos that came out in the 90s or 80s, you know, were great for warm-ups, man. I mean, Steve Morse, called Power Lines. Some of the things that he plays in that are warm-ups that I still use to this day. The first John Petrucci video kind of focuses a lot on warm-ups. Is it called Power? No, that's Steve Morse, Power Lines. What was the first Intense Rock? That's Paul Gilbert. What was the Petrucci one called? I can't remember, but you know, the first one where he's got the Ibanez in it. He still was playing Ibanez then. Some good stuff in there for warm-ups and stuff. You know, I remember the Vinnie Moore instructional video too. really good for that. He did some things, some warm-up stuff that was very sort of involved. There was a whole section. I guess people were more focused on that stuff back then because it was a very technical time playing guitar and stuff, and people were talking about how to get your hands warmed up, so you don't get tendonitis and things like that, get the blood flowing and everything working. So anyway, I would check out those, like Vinnie Moore, the first one. I'm not sure if he's got more than that, but Vinnie, Steve Moore's Power Lines, the first John Petrucci video. Good stuff. Does the Gil urine scratch the burst itch? Yeah, I would say definitely. Are you still looking for a real old one? Well, if one came along that wasn't insane money, or if it was just like if I played it and it was like, this is amazing. Even when I was in Japan, man, like not this past time I was there, but the time before that, I played one that Eric Johnson used to own. It was a 60 burst. It had a little bit of work done, so it wasn't like crazy money, but it was they were asking like $131,000 for it. That was the equivalent of that. And so you come across this guitar and it's got this provenance. Eric used to play it in, I think, the Electromagnets. There's photos of him with it and stuff in the mid 70s. And I plugged it in and played it, and it just sounded like great. And it was just this great guitar. And then you're like, I don't have like that kind of money to like lying around to put into a guitar. But it's when a guitar is that nice, you're like, okay, it's sort of money in the bank because it's a Les Paul with provenance, and it's like, if I could just and you start to think about how you can swing it. Do I take out another mortgage, or what do I do? And yeah, it's one of those things. So if I came across one that was, 1/4 that price, like a conversion or a nice 54 that it had a headstock repair or something, I would definitely consider it, like, to, at that point, because I don't do a lot of that, like vintage guitars, and I've got a few, that's it, and they're just my guitars that I, but if an amazing one comes along, you got to jump on it sometimes. My old 335 is like that, and it wasn't expensive. It was very cheap. It's been, mangled underneath the bridge pickup, and it had somebody went at it with a chisel and stuff, but it still looks like a legit, awesome 63 Clapton era, sort of when he played one 335. That's just really cool. So, yeah. And it sounds like $1 million, the pickups that are in it and stuff. So I had to get it, but it was so cheap the time. Yeah. What do I think about the Freetone programmable EQ? I haven't tried that one. The only ones I've tried are the Boss. Great. Source Audio, really cool also. Those are the two programmables I've tried, but I haven't tried is that like Free the Tone? Everything Free the Tone makes is pretty great that I've tried. So I'm sure it's probably good, but anyways. Yeah. Glad you are home, says Todd. Must feel nice. Feels really good. Really, really good. Yeah. Really good. Really good. Let's see. It was great to meet you in Luxembourg. Thanks, man. Just wondering how you approach or prep some tracks like Jeff Beck. Thank you so much for the EVH tunes. I just sat here right in this chair and played it over and over and over and over. And I had to listen to a bunch of different versions of that song. I'm talking about Because We Ended as Lovers. And realized that, like, Jeff never played it the same way twice. And Jeff is Jeff. He's a very difficult guitar player to emulate. So you kind of have to listen to it, internalize the sentiment and the feel, or the whatever, the intention in the playing, learn the basic form, and then do it the way you would do it at that point. And that's what I would recommend. That's kind of what I did with it. I kind of went for his, I would say, the first verse of the song to kind of establish the melody and stuff. I played it like the record, like the original version. And then as the song carries on, I got more into his live at Ronnie Scott's sort of approach. That's kind of the way I did it. I went, well, I'll put these two together. And because the song is very long and kind of goes, it's 6 minutes long or something like that, and I had to turn it into kind of more like 4 minutes. So I edited it and came up with an arrangement that was more sort of suitable for our show. And just went, all right, well, we'll do this. Then we'll have a little solo section in the middle for the other guys. And then I'll go into a solo for however many bars. We'll get into the, sort of the B section again at the end, like it does coming out of the solo back into the re-intro and the outro, whatever you want to call it. So I just sort of did it like that. And then as far as sound goes, I just sort of listened to his Ronnie Scott sound and tried to kind of like go, all right, let's do something like this. And so it was a bit of, some Eventide reverb, very light echo, because there's no real apparent delay on the song. The interesting thing I'm learning more and more about delay is, like, especially, post delay that's not running into distortion, is how, that fine line of how much can you get away with where it doesn't sound like obvious echo going on. And it turns out it's quite a bit generally. Like, you can, like, in the context of when a band is playing, and even just lightly, like they are on that song, it's amazing how much echo you can actually get away with, and it just sort of disappears into the band. Like, it doesn't sound like obvious delay, because that I wanted to emulate his sound. It doesn't really sound like he's got that much, at least on the Ronnie Scott's, version I was trying to kind of emulate. So anyways, that's it. And he's a Klon player. I don't really know how he sets his amps and stuff, and I know his guitar sound is extremely unique. I mean, like, that he developed over the years, and I'm talking about his sort of later stage, Strat with, the Sir pickups. Actually, they're John made them. They're very, like, I think they're stacks. I think, and so sort of a stacked coil design, not our typical single coil. Darker, lots of, they've got that mid-rangey thing going on. I don't know if he rolls his tone down, but so I was using the bridge pickup when you saw me play the song, which is like P90 in my guitar that I was using, with the tone back at about 7, just to knock the highs off. And then I used the unobtainium Klon side going into the dirty rhythm channel of my PT 100, so channel 2. So, some crunchy amp gain coming from the amp, boosted with the pedal, and then a nice reverb, a little bit of echo timed to kind of, and that's it. That was the sound. So it's funny, one night I was playing it and I got into the solo, and I'd accidentally, when I rolled my volume pedal on, at one point I hit the chorus on my Mobius, because it's right at the tail end of my volume pedal. Is the next pedal up is my chorus, and I bumped the chorus on. So I got into playing the solo, and I was like, where's all this chorus coming from? And it took me the whole solo to get to the end and go, oh, you hit the Mobius on, because I was like, why is there so much modulation? It sounds like the Police playing Jeff Beck. It was like just a different take on it, I wonder if anybody noticed. Why has he got chorus? That was a bold choice. Anyways, you need a real 70s flying V, thinner body, all mahogany. I'd love a 70s one, man, or a, I love the look of, like, the Hetfield, like the Metallica white V. I love that look. Or an early, 82, like red with the white pick guard. No, I love that kind of that metal, that sort of Euro metal flying V thing. Just is cool, yeah, I guess probably I'm thinking of KK Downing or something, playing a flying V. That look is really cool to me too. Yeah. Okay, I'm way back in the chat, so I'm going to move down. We got 263 people here. Thanks for coming back and hanging with me. I know it's always, what am I trying to say? Random times, these days when I'm out on the road and all that. So, yeah. What else we got? Let's see. Not going to be random for the next couple months. It'll be regular time, regular place, right here. Okay. You ever heard of played the MXR sub-octave bass fuzz? No, I don't think so. I have some fuzz pedals that are octave. My favorite's the Octron. from Fox. Is it Foxtone or Fox? Is that the company? Octron is devastating sounding. So cool. What a great pedal for making riffs sound absolutely huge. But I'm sure the MXR is great too. Let's see. On my PT6, sir, I have an Ernie Ball strap with roses on it because every thorn has its rose. Oh, that's great. Thanks, Steve. Do you prefer a full-on Floyd with locking nut now, or are you still using the Wilkinson? I'm still using the Wilkinsons on my. I have like 3 tremolos now that I'm using. Really, I'm using the new Sir, which is amazing how well it stays in tune. I mean, it's just terrific. The new one that is, on my PT90 guitar, just killer guitar for the bridge is special on that guitar. So it looks like a Godot, like a 510, but it's got other stuff going on that keeps it in tune better than one of those. It's not exactly the same design. I know it looks like one, but there's certain things about it that have really affected the tuning stability for the better. If you're comparing to an old 510 style bridge. So I really like that bridge a lot because it's just so simple. It's a vintage style trim. It sounds great. It feels great, and it stays in tune really great. So still using the Wilkinson on my HSS models, on my HH models, the standard versions of those guitars, and it's terrific. But there is an extra step of locking the saddle and all that. So, and then I'm using the FE Tone Floyd, of course. So kind of all over the map, but that's okay. I like to mix it up. Why not? It sounds like Ian, I don't know. I can't find the original posts here. Oh, you fell off your mountain bike. I'm sorry to hear that. Had surgery repair about 3 weeks ago. I'm sorry, dude. Wishing you a speedy recovery. Yeah. 100%. Okay. Fairfield does make a basic black leather strap, the standard, which has a picture of Pete playing his SG. Oh, yeah, I do have that Fairfield strap on my SG. That is true. That is the basic black strap, now that you mention it. Yeah, that's true. Yeah. So somebody's talking about a Kaler. Oh, that's Ian talking about Kaler. Recently, Aaron Gibson made 347 with a factory Kaler. I don't know, man. Kalers that's a very distinct, specific thing. I always felt like they kind of disconnected the strings from the rest of the guitar or something, but maybe that's just me. Do you check your amps from time to time for bias drift? Seems like my amps change a little after a couple months. Yeah, I mean, as tubes wear and stuff, they definitely that happens. I don't do it a ton. I tend to bias on the fairly conservative side, my amps that go on the road. Everything in here I should probably get looked at once in a while, more often than I do, but I know how to do it now on a Sir, so I can do it myself. But yeah. Did you say that Henry played the Jeff Beck song different every single time, Kathy? Yeah. Henry's a amazing musician, and so he never plays. He's an educated musician. So the solo every time he would take a different approach, and he's got an amazing musical mind. So yeah, he would it was never quite the same twice, His approach was always different because he had fun with it, which is exactly what I wanted him to do. Because Henry was actually very reluctant to play that song. He didn't think it was going to work. And I was like, Henry, it's going to be great. You just have to trust me. We just have to play the hell out of it. If we play the hell out of it, if everybody brings it, and he's a huge factor in that, people are going to love it because it's a beautiful song, even if they don't know it. It's just a nice moment in the show. It's a bit of an ear break because it's kind of, it starts relatively mellow, and it's hollowed out for a lot of the tune. I don't even play over the bass and the keyboard solo section. So I just get out of the way so that you're hearing music without all that guitar mid-range coming at you all the time. So in the classic rock show set, I felt like it served a great purpose, a little ear break. And you got to see Henry improvise, and Wayne improvise a bit and play some different things. And it's only like 4 minutes long. So, even for those that are musically challenged or just want to hear hits or whatever. I think it was a nice moment in the show where it was like, oh wow, that's really cool. He's playing a Rhodes solo, you know, and he would always approach it differently and have fun with it. And sure enough, you know, he got it after the first couple times. It was like, yeah, it's really working. You know, people love it. So good music is good music is good music. You know, and sometimes there's just songs that are. We did Desperado in our show a few years ago, the Linda Ronstadt version, where Jess sang, which is like a mellow solo piano thing with background vocals, piano, and vocal. That's it. It's not a rock song. It's a ballad version of Desperado, you know, that's like, and we're the classic rock show. But you know what? It worked every night. And Kathy, you saw us do that, I'm sure. It just works because she sang it beautifully. It's a great song. It's like, you know, no matter what, it just went over. So yeah. Anyways, blah blah. Did you get to play the Friedman Jose amp at NAMM? No, I still haven't played it. So I will though. I'll give it a try. But basically, I've got one right here. The Red Germino is has a lot of the same features. It's a Jose Marshall with you know, there's a couple things that he put on it that doesn't have. Like for instance, the dual presence controls. You know, certain things like that. But otherwise, I've got very close to that right there, I think. Yeah. Sure you've heard it enough, but congrats again on the gig. Oh, thank you. I'm still just kind of over the moon about it. And really, as I'm learning some material to go into rehearsals with and stuff, it's more and more, it's like, I can't believe I get to go do this. You know, I get to play with a couple of my heroes and just, you know, be there in the support role of watching those guys. And it's just, it's mind blowing. It's very, very full circle for me. So, and really, really exciting. And I'm, you know, putting a lot of hard work and effort in over the next couple weeks right now into it and enjoying every minute of it. And how much, you know, how appreciative I am of that. Like that, I get to, you know, do that. Like that's my job, you know. I get to do something that is hard work and very challenging, and I wouldn't want to be anywhere else, you know. That's just, it's not lost on me. It's very special. So I'm really, really thankful and just excited. Yeah. Yeah. And Glenn says approaching a Jeff Beck sound must have been a challenge. Yeah, it was. And it's a scary song to play just because, you know, you're always going to get compared to the original. Just like doing, you know, I did Eruption the last night in Utrecht in the Netherlands. Jesse had you know, he got sick right at the end of our tour, whatever, you know, we're main lead singers. And so we all grabbed some vocal duties. I sang part of Comfortably Numb as well that night, which I've never done before, but that was scary too and really fun. And when I listened back to it, I was like, oh, it sounds okay, you know? So I was proud of myself. But I also played Eruption that night because we needed a little more time to fill the you know, so that was tacked that on at the beginning of You Really Got Me. I'd started playing it at the beginning of the tour, and then I kind of backed away from it because I was like, I don't know, man. Like it's Eddie's solo, and it's like I just it's you know what I mean? Like just kind of like just not being hard on myself about it, but also just like I don't know, like I just feel like it's best left to he did it, and, you know, but I understood the significance of doing it in the Netherlands, and then also just we needed to fill some more time, and so every few minutes was a good thing. So I did it, and I just listened back to it, and it sounds pretty good, man. I think I did it good, you know. I really do. Like not tooting mine, but I'm just saying that not because like oh I'm great. I'm saying that because I'm actually like I've got a lot of anxiety about playing that. Let me find like a little. Where was my Eruption? Where's the beginning? Let's see. Oh, how do I stop it? Yeah, I think it sounds pretty good. So I don't know. But anyways, anytime you're approaching these things where it's these guys that are like these legends and you're trying to go there, it's like it's scary because it's a stylist thing. And the great thing about Jeff is, there's a million different versions of different people playing that song, and he's a bit more, it's a fusion. So it's like it's a bit more like jazz. I mean, you can kind of approach it and do it your own way. I mean, I've seen Steve Lukather play amazing versions of that song. When I see people play that song when I don't like it, is when you sometimes see people tackle "Cause We Ended as Lovers" and just it becomes a shred fest, And then to me, that loses the part of the beauty of it is the fragility of the space in the song. I always try and go back with that particular song to the original version, because for those, there might still be some people out there who don't know. I didn't know for a long time that it was a cover, and that Stevie Wonder was originally, him and his girlfriend at the time were making a record together in 1971 or so, and they wrote that song together about their breakup. And so there's a beautiful version of it if you haven't heard it with lyrics. That's they wrote it together, and it's "Because We Ended as Lovers." It's gorgeous, man. It's beautiful. And when you think about, oh God, they made this record together and he produced it, and they co-wrote this song, and it's like they're going through this whole breakup, and it's amazing. So anyway, that sentiment, in the I try and internalize that and play that in the melody, when you're just even approaching it instrumentally. So if you just shred over it, it kind of like that all goes out the window, right? And so, my favorite versions of it, I've seen, like I said, I saw Steve Lukather play it. And it was like he's amazing when he plays it. He plays it with so much fire, but it doesn't veer into that realm of, you know what I mean, like that, because he's amazing. So he just gets it. But I've seen some other people play it, and I was like, I don't really like it when people just start playing really fast over top of the changes. So, yeah. Okay. Been on the hunt for a while for the right Les Paul, slowly coming to the realization that I'll never find the one, and maybe it doesn't exist. Tough pill to swallow. Guess we all want Pages. Well, you still might. I mean, you never know. You can come across something that you pick it up and it's magic neck, and it's like, it's interesting. I don't know. I mean, and maybe it won't be a Les Paul. Maybe it'll be like a Repro or something, or like a Yaren or something, or who knows. Any advice for budding YouTubers on building followers? Geez, man, I don't know anymore. I mean, I always tell people you got to do something different, If you're copying someone else's thing that you've already seen them do, it's never gonna. You might do okay, but you have to approach things in a certain way that's unique. That like almost like a branded thing or something that was, just your own unique way of going about it. I mean, if you look at all the success Rick Beato has had, the way that he approached his interviews, the whole "what makes this song great" idea was just brilliant. Because here's the thing that we can learn from Rick from that approach. Anybody can watch those videos. Non-musicians can watch "What Makes This Song Great" and find it really interesting if you're just a music buff, if you're just a fan. But certainly if you're a bass player or keyboard player, or you play guitar or drums, there's something for you in those videos. And that broad kind of appeal is important, developing, if you're very targeted and niche, which my channel sort of is, it's guitar, pedals and gear and stuff. It's like, that's a very sort of niche, what makes this song great is not, it's a, everybody sort of, I would like to think, appreciates music on some level. And if you're just a even casual listener, you might find those episodes interesting. So that's an important thing to keep in mind. Come up with something broad, I think. Not, which isn't to say you can't do nerdy stuff and come, targeted things, so okay. But it's like, I just think that's the recipe for developing the biggest audience is, widen your audience, like, try and pull everybody in, make something interesting that a lot of people can watch, right? Shorts seems to be, being consistent about uploading shorts. That seems to be a way that people are saying, getting new subscribers on YouTube is important. I'm pretty lazy about it, but I'm pretty lazy in general. So no, I'm not, but maybe I am. What do you think of 2-point trims versus 6-point trims? I tend to like the 2-point trims easier just because I understand them better. The 6-point, like whatever, 6-screw trims, I don't. I mean, I have one on my old Strat. I've got one on a Sur. I've got far fewer of them. They can work well, I think. There's a whole sort of method to setting them up that it's got to do with like the outside screws are the ones that are kind of the lowest, and then the inner ones you can kind of loosen a little more, and then the outer ones kind of almost, you're approaching it almost like a 2-post bridge. Sur's got a way of doing it where it's like something like, you find the perfect for the outside screws where they're supposed to be seated and stuff and how low they're supposed to be, and then the other ones you just back out like a ways from there, like half a turn or something. The middle one, something like that. I'm sure there's lots of specific information from guitar techs about how to set up a 6-screw bridge perfectly. I tend to do them leaning forward a bit because of the Jeff Beck thing. I like to have on my 2-post trims too. I like to have a whole step pull up on the G, which equates to about approximately a half step on the B. Approximately a half step on the B. Yeah, I like that. So, what studio monitors use? So I'm on to the Barefoot 3s now, the Footprint 3s. I love them. You want decent mid-level home studio monitors. Oh, you're saying Yamaha HS. I don't think there's anything wrong with Yamaha HS8s. I know people that use Yamaha monitors, and I think they're quite good. The Barefoots are a couple grand for the pair. They're not crazy money. You can spend a lot more than that on near fields. If you're talking like a, good mid-level, I like the Yamahas. I think Adams are still really good. I used them for years, was very comfortable with them. Adam, the A7Xs I used for years. I would say I like Focals, pretty nice sounding, I think. But yeah, Yamaha are okay, I think. Just go to the store and listen, on a good, one of those stores where you can go in and hear a bunch of different sets of monitors back to back, or order a pair and put them up against your own. I've got a radial monitor control box here where I can switch between 2 sets, so I can put up a couple sets and then listen between the 2 if I want to. That's always cool to do. Let's see. Scumbag M75 versus PVCs versus Blackback for live or recording. It's been a long time, man, since I've used Jim speakers. Always liked them. The M75, 65 watt was a staple in my rig for a long time. Always thought it was good. The PVCs to me did sound a little more, which is the paper voice coil, sort of original style voice coil. They always sounded a little more like lively, and then the Blackback will probably be a little brighter and more like a late 70s Celestion. So it just depends what you want. But yeah, it's just been a minute. So I would just say the PVCs sounded maybe a little more legit old school Celestion to me. The M75, great sort of 65 watt, great modern take on the greenback, maybe a little less fizz than Celestions. And then the Blackback I actually have never tried. So that version of his speaker, I just haven't tried it. So I'm guessing it's more like a real Blackback. That's what I use is real Blackbacks now. I've got 2 cabs, 412s with, and that's what you hear me record through all the time. Late 70s Marshall cabinets with G12M 75. G12M 75 hertz, lead cone, 25 watt speakers, Blackbacks. Yeah. Didn't catch the beginning. Is the 7-string for the Satch Vi Tour? Yes. It's not the actual one I'm going to take. I'm having one built that's almost done, should be ready in a week or so. But yeah, that's pretty fun. Although I really enjoy living a guitarist's life vicariously through your experiences, I'm grateful for the Sunday sessions. What acoustic do you wish you had at hand? Acoustic. James has this beautiful sounding guitar that I've been thinking I should get one. It's one of the best sounding steel string acoustic sounds I've ever heard. And it's a kind of a solid body. That it just sounds amazing. This guitar he has, and if you watch classic rock show videos of him playing from the last tour, Romeo and Juliet by Dire Straits, that's probably uploaded. You can hear him playing it on that. Playing on that, or The Chain by Fleetwood Mac. We do. You can hear him using it on that. On the last tour. So it's a really, really good sounding guitar, but I have no idea who makes it. It's a luthier in England. It's a small, what do we call it? Small company. Yeah, that's it. Yeah. Ian says he's a glutton for punishment with Kahlers, although I have a few guitars with Floyds and Fender trims as well. Yeah, Kahlers are, I had one once on a Fender Lead 3. I put it on there. Have you tried out the new Synergy Syn 20 IR? Not really. I haven't, actually. I've just been away, for a minute. So how was the Dublin show? It was great. Small but mighty. It was in a club. We had about 250 people there. But it was 250 ready to party nutcases. So it was really fun. They were great. Beautiful crowd, actually. It was so much fun, actually, that show. Just 250 in the room we were in looked really good. It was like 3/4 full, basically. And so it's probably the smallest stage we played on the tour. But man, did we ever have fun. I had a great time in Dublin. Really, really great time. Love it there. Been a minute since I've been back. It was so much fun. Carina V for 1984 sounds, I would think, would be a bucket list item too. Yeah, I'd love to have one, to be honest. Carina, one of those early 80s. You see them in Japan a lot. There's a lot that ended up over there for some reason. But yeah, like an 82 Carina V. Would love that, actually. Yeah. Desperado was completely beautiful, says Kathy. Yeah, she did it great, and yeah. So is your gear in Europe? Yes, it is, actually. Yeah, my gear. I've got a bunch of gear that just kind of lives over there. What were the studio headphone companies you mentioned the other day that you used? Well, lately I've been using these. I quite like these, actually. They're Sterling, which are just the Guitar Center brand. And these are called 5400s, I believe, or S400. Sterling S400. Good headphones. They sound nice. I don't mix on them or anything, but I'll use them to kind of reference things and stuff. My CB1 Studio, whatever, they don't make them anymore. So no point in even worrying about it. But I had these ones called CB1s forever that were kind of a, $69 brand that people were like, tell me I'm not crazy. These are the greatest studio headphones ever. So I got some and they were really, really good. But they crapped out. The band broke. And so I have these. And then I have some Audio Technicas of various types, and I have some Beyerdynamic, their Pro D, whatever they're called, DT 1700 or something like those. I've got some open back Audio Technicas that I really like, but they're not great for doing acoustic guitar or vocals in the studio or something because they're open back. They're more like a hi-fi sort of listening sort of thing. So I took them home, have them at home. Those are really nice. You got to just try and see, it's kind of a personal thing, I think. I've heard good things about the Blue headphones as well with the microphone company. They have some. Yeah. Let's see here. What else do we have? How many people we got? We got 304 people here. Love you guys. Fantastic. Great to have you here. Moving down in the chat. You honor Eddie when you play Eruption with the humility you have about it. Thanks, Lauren. I appreciate that. Yeah, nobody can ever be Eddie. So it's like, all you can do is try and have fun. I think that's the main thing is it should be fun, Eddie's playing, if you have to put this fun intention in it, wild sort of fun, because that's the way he was always smiling when he played. And it's like, if you can kind of think about that, and once like the intention behind it should be that spirit. And then it's fun, so. Yeah. Okay. Lukather is that rare guy that can shred and be beautifully melodic all at once. Yeah, that's true. You know, he does have that ability to be really musical all the time. And he also, he has that fun thing in his playing where it's just like, it's the confidence in his playing that I love, where he's just like, he's having fun with it and he's just a badass, and it's all super musical. So, yeah. Eli says, first time I catch you live. Good to have you here. Thanks for joining. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, we were looking forward to Eruption at Gateshead, but you didn't do it. Yeah, I kind of backed away from it for most of the tour and just sort of, I don't know, maybe I should just be playing it, but In Front of You really got me. The first set kind of had a lot, like there was just a lot of stuff I felt like that I was tackling in it as well. And it was like one less thing that I kind of needed to worry about, like, because there's a whole thing with it where I would play my Frankenstrat at the beginning, and then I would do the delay drop thing at the end where it goes down the octave, and then I would change guitars and put on the other guitar and then go into it. And then right after that, I was changing guitars to go into this Pretenders tune that I had to start. And then we were doing Here I Go Again, and that's kind of got thrown on me sort of a bit last minute. Not that I cared, I love doing it, but the solo I had to learn kind of, and I just learned it, ended up doing it in the show. Like, and sometime around the time that happened, I went like, there's one less thing I want to worry about in this 7-minute block of the first set. Because I felt like I was just like doing gymnastics of like changing guitars and playing difficult things, and like does that make sense? Where I just wanted to make it a little easier, like on myself. So I was like, can we not do Eruption and just like go into You Really Got Me, and then just make my life a little less stressful? There's something with the classic rock show that I always find, I don't know why, if there's a way I can kind of alleviate this, but I always find that the first set is somewhat stressful for me. It's not as the second set. Once we get into the end, of the last sort of third of the show is a breeze and a blast and so much fun. And if I could make the whole show feel a bit more like that and a bit less stressful, I would love that. If there was a way that I could get there personally. I don't know if that's possible with because I'm obviously one of like 7 people on stage. So, but yeah, it's like and it just comes down to the music choices, the pacing, in-ears. There's a thing with classic rock show that there's, I'm just airing my grievance, where it's like a little bit where, because it's not even like a thing that I don't even know if it's possible to fix or not, but it's like there's times where, because of video intros to songs and things, it's just technical stuff. You got to start a song and you need to hear a click to do it because it's timed to video and stuff. So it's like, because of that, it falls on me sometimes to have an in-ear in. Well, sometimes I don't feel comfortable playing with in-ears in, right? So I'll give you an example of like when I play Eruption. I don't want to play Eruption with in-ears in. I hate it. Like, I don't like that clinical. I don't know about you guys, but like, does that ever, like, you don't, like, there's times in a show where you don't want to hear yourself as well. Like, you almost just want to hear the ambient sound of your guitar and be able to get away from it, away from your loud amp. And when it's right here, and you're trying to play Eruption or whatever and in-ears, I hate that feeling. I just feel so clinical, because I don't know about, I've been 25 years of using in-ears now. I've never been able to get away from the fact that if you think you even flubbed a note, or there's something that you could have been better, it's so clinical in in-ears that I can't get away from that, right? And that might be a thing where, when you can't hear yourself as well, you didn't even notice that if you were 1 fret off for a certain note, or that the articulation wasn't exactly, this is what the inner voice I have that goes on in my head when I'm playing live, and I think it's most of us, where it's like, you just want it to be great, right? So when every little thing is microscopically like right there in your ears, it throws me sometimes. And so I'll pull them out because I'll just play better. I know I will, and I don't enjoy it when those are in, and I'm feeling that way. And if I get in my own head, and then it spirals for like the next 3 songs, and I'm just giving you my internal monologue right now, and it sucks. So I'll take them out. But then there's the next song I'll need to have an ear in so that I can hear the intro and play it. And I would love to just find a way, like, because I feel like with our band, one of the problems is that a lot of these decisions are made before we get into rehearsals. And because of that, I don't have an option then of saying, I don't want to have an in-ear in that moment in the set, because it's hard for me, because they fall down. You're doing a guitar change, changing a path, oh shit, I got to get my in-ear in. Here comes the click in about 2.5 seconds, and I'm going to miss it if I don't. And then you're trying to shove the thing in your ear, and then you're trying to play, and then because you had them out for the last song, So if there's a way, I'm just airing this on a public forum. There's a way I can get around that. Like, I don't want that stress, because I just want to play music, So it's like, if there's a way that I could not have that going forward in the future, which would mean simply not dealing with the click, dealing with a drummer that's maybe giving me time. If there was a way that I could have that, where it was just like a standard 2, 3, 4, whatever, like rock and roll, right? Like that's kind of the way that I much of the time would like to do things, the way that bands used to play, before it was this thing that was tied to some fucking computer, So that's the way that I feel about that. So do I sound like I'm frustrated? It's a little frustrating. I suck it up and I just deal with it but if there was a, going forward, not that stuff, I can't even express how much more enjoyable and how much less stress I would feel, not having to be tied to, that kind of stuff all the time. Just being able to play more, Because when I play with Chris Cornell, or when I play with Melissa Etheridge, or when I play with none of that, like we never had that stuff, That's not that we just like look at each other and then play music. The drummer would count the song and we'd come in, and it was like, so it's this new thing that I've had to kind of become accustomed to in the last, I don't know how many, ever since click tracks and in-ears and, it became like the predominant, and I just find it really, it's like, does it sound like a grumpy old man? I don't know. I guess maybe, but I just want life to be a little simpler. That's all, I guess, at the end of the day. That's all it is. So, yeah. What do you guys think about that? Anybody got any comments on that, or any kind of, I'll look at the comments in the bottom of the chat. So I'm interested if anybody out there plays live and stuff, and how they feel about all that, like in those kinds of everything I just talked about. Is it necessary to have a second set of studio speakers for playing against backing tracks? I'm currently using, no. Well, no. Yeah, just use the speakers you got. A7Xs. That's cool, I would say. Good, solid speakers. Do you think Toronto is the best place in Canada for better musical opportunities? Yeah. Should I continue building my own computer? It's an interesting question. Being a big fish in a small pond, or do you go to Toronto? You do have the advantage of the internet now, so no matter what, you can reach the world. But there's certain things that you just won't have opportunity-wise in Saskatchewan. So my suggestion would be to take a trip. You're still in Canada. It's not really that far away. Find a place where you can go, maybe rent an Airbnb and stay for a good amount of time, and go out to the clubs, go to the Dakota and go to the Horseshoe and the different clubs there, and kind of, feel it out. You can go out to eat, spend some time, meet some people, and see how you feel there. That would be my recommendation. I think there's going to be more opportunities for sure in a city like Toronto. It's a more expensive city to live in. More challenging in other ways. So you got to get a feel for it. And the only way to do that really is to go there. When I moved to Los Angeles, I'd spent a bit of time there already. I didn't really know what it was going to be like to live there, but I'd spent a bit of time, and I think you got to do that to know, So, yeah. Chris says, thoughts, tone, and in the hands, but all my favorite guitar players had periods when I thought their choice the gear choice gave them the best tone. Yeah, I mean, 90% of it is in your hands, but for sure would we be as enamored with, Eddie Van Halen's guitar tone if it had been his tone in the later years, I mean, there was a magic thing that happened on those. Also, just with record making, right? The way that people recorded, we got to keep in mind in the eras when a lot of those magic guitar sounds were kind of like, born. I feel like the pinnacle of, and it's a lot of the stuff I just talked about, like technical shit coming in and then changing the way that people do things, because now you can. I mean, I'm guilty of using programmed drums and all that stuff. It was like there was a time when you couldn't do that. You just had to use, real people. And then it had, it's always more human and better to do that, unless you're going, unless you're playing electronic music. But, if you want that legit rock vibe, there's nothing like real drums. But also just the recording techniques back in the day and just analog and everything. It was just, great for guitar tone. It was like a magic star. It was aligning thing. So, yeah, the way that people tracked, the gear that they had, the way the sounds were created. I mean, look, it's like in the 70s, there was no quiet amp, it was like you had to turn it up, crank it. That got a sound. Feedback was a part of rock. That created a certain way that people played solos. And the fact that amps didn't have as much gain, but people were playing louder, people got better at playing loud, with their dynamics and their control of their guitar controls, simple effects. There wasn't so many effects around. So, each guitar player had a few things that they would add to the rig, and that was about it. Maybe an echoplex and a certain boost and a wah. That was like what, people used. Oh, a phaser. Oh, that's new, And so all those things added up to, it was a very sort of organic, simpler time in the way that people were doing things. And maybe, is what it is, But also, so the gear, you're talking about the tone in the hands thing, how much of it is in the hands? Well, your hands, you had to get used to playing that stuff back then. And that would influence, an approach, dynamics and the way that you would approach parts and stuff like that was often built around, it was all a formula. So the tone in the hands was part, like maybe the tone in your hands would be different if you just grew up playing plugins, you'd have a different tone in your hands because it would be like a different approach, to guitar pickups and settings and, dynamics and all that stuff. So I think it's all just a sort of a stars aligning and everything plays into everything. But the hands are the biggest. If you want to sound like Jimmy Page, or if you want to sound like Eddie Van Halen, or you want, the biggest factor in all of that, because Jimmy Page sounds like Jimmy Page when he plays an acoustic guitar, that's his hands and his soul and his, his approach to music. So, yeah. Can you plug a quarter-inch jack directly into a Headrush 108? What do you mean? Like a Headrush is a powered speaker. So I don't know what you mean. Like out of a guitar into it? Is that what you mean? Won't sound very good. It'll sound really boring. Yeah. Did you tell Joe and Steve about your live shows? Yeah, they knew what I was doing. I've been in touch with them quite a bit actually over the last couple of months, just because we've been, they've been banging around show ideas and stuff. And so, yeah, for sure. Rick says, will you be playing anywhere near upstate New York soon? I need to see my favorite guitarist at least once in my life. You're too kind. Thank you, Rick. Appreciate it. I hope so. We'll see. I'm not sure yet, but I hope so. Thanks for watching, my friend. There's a super chat. I see it. Gotta grab that. Just one second. I'll get to it. What's your tuning strategy? I saw a video with Eddie's Tech where he discussed tuning his guitar so they were in tune when the strings are hit really hard or a bit flat when the strings settle. Yeah, I'm kind of like that. I generally tune all the strings in tune, but the low E string is a hair flat so that when I nail it, and also just when you push down on the low E, I don't know if you guys find this, but especially if you use bigger frets, it tends to just be a little bit sharp from, you know what I mean, when you're holding an F chord or G or something, then first position, third position. So yeah, a little flat on the E, but everything else I tune in tune. Eddie also tuned the, the B string flat sometimes and stuff like that. So for those. I've made videos about that stuff and everything. Yeah. Can you tell me any more about that Jose Viehead you had loaned? Well, it was Steve's amp. It's like a 74, 75 super lead, circuit board amp. It was one of the ones that he had back in the day, back for tour and recording. When he joined the Roth band, he had some amps done by Jose and some amps done by, I think, Lee Jackson. And that's what he used for touring and the records, in the mid 80s. It was a nice amp. It sounded really good. Have you ever tried the Engel Steve Morse amp? I haven't. Engel, yeah, more available in Europe, but I like everything from Engel that I've checked out, to be honest. I think they do really good work. Interesting that you find the first set more stressful than the second. It's so much more energetic. Yeah, but we're just cutting loose then, and the first has more nuance. That's what it is. Everybody's on their feet in the second set and going crazy, and the band is just louder at that point. And it's, that's all. Do you think the audience taking a while to warm up makes a difference to your stress levels? It's not that. I mean, it is a little bit, but it's also just the way the set gets struck. It's probably nothing as a person watching that you would ever notice, when you're watching our show. It's just something about the pacing, the guitar changes. The first set is always a little more rock history or something, and a little more dynamic, moving up and down in dynamics and everything. And there's some, video segments and stuff, and it's all sort of timed and a little more, and it's just, so yeah, that's all. What about a visual countdown cue on a TV screen in front of your pedal board? That just sounds like more complicated. I'm talking about a drummer going 2, 3, 4. I'm just talking about, that. That's it. Inner solution. There are speakers that can only be heard when you're directly in front of them. Do you put the click through one? Nah, I don't want to deal with that either. I just don't want to even know about a click. I just want to know about somebody counting me. That's what I'm talking about. Yeah. Like a switch to turn the in-ears on and off. Well, no, not that. If you've got them in, you can't hear anything. So can we see your shirt? Sure. It's a Master Tour shirt. It says Master Tour. We are the road group. Master Tour is the app that everybody uses on tour these days for schedule, for guest list, for it's basically like you can load your whole tour in there, your hotels, everything where you're staying and everything like that. And, your tour routing and everything, it's all in there. So yeah. Okay, what else? Is there anything you use that made your playing really jump forward when you were an intermediate player? I would say those videos that I mentioned earlier had a big effect on my technical ability when I was 16 or 17. So the Gilbert, Vinnie Moore, Steve Morse, I was just in a period where I was practicing with a metronome and really focusing on getting faster and more accurate and all that stuff. So there was that, all that's readily available now on the internet, and kids are shredding by the time they're 12. So other than that, it's playing with real people, like actually getting in bands and stuff in my early 20s, I would say, and having to learn how to listen, learning about, recording and playing with other people. Yeah. I'm with you as far as guitar playing and in-ears. Singing, however, is way better and easier for me, which is a dilemma since I'm singing the majority of songs. Yeah, I understand that. I know for singers, they love them. The click track thing is a little weird. Yeah. Get off my lawn. Yeah, completely. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. In-ears are not a natural way of listening to yourself, and you need to adjust the approach of playing the instrument. Yeah, I agree. They're somewhat frustrating for me, although I do appreciate that they, at least on this last tour, my hearing's been getting a little more sensitive, and I appreciate that having them in for me is a good idea in that regard. So just play devil's advocate for a minute. There are nights where you're like, I don't want to hammer my ears anymore, and it would be better if I just kept these in at a low volume, even if I'm not feeling it as much, And when I'm in that state of mind, then it's like, put them in. That's better. It's a relief, Yeah, my ears have been getting a little more. I think I've finally sort of reached a tipping point where I have to be quite a bit more careful about just tell, My hearing's still good, but they flare up more. The tinnitus sort of things. They're more sensitive than they used to be. So Mike says no speakers in the ear holes. Yeah, but when you turn them way down, there's no question that you're protecting your hearing, when you've got them like, uncomfortably low where you wouldn't want to start a show at, but after you beat on your ears for an hour or two and you're like, ugh, you put them in, you just turn it down, you're like, that feels better. And you could definitely tell that it's lower volume than when you take them out. So yeah. Yeah. Okay. I inherited a 61 Les Paul cool SG cell from my grandfather. Is there any special care that is needed for such an old instrument? I don't think so. No, man. I mean, it's made it this far. I mean, just keep it in a, in a nice location that's not, prone to flooding, anything like that, or theft. A guitar like that, I would generally probably keep in the case. Or, I mean, my vintage stuff's out, but you don't really need to do anything. If you're polishing it, get some like this Virtuoso stuff from Premium Cleaner here. This is from StewMac. Just make sure it's good on lacquer. This is made for lacquer finishes. I bought some for my 335 because a lot of like more sort of modern guitar polishes, you'll put them on an old guitar that's lacquer, and it'll just haze up and get all weird and stuff. And it's like you need stuff that's that old lacquer is a little finicky. So if you're going to clean it, just go on the Stuart McDonald website is my recommendation, and buy some stuff to kind of keep it maintained. Maybe you want to oil the fingerboard every now and then with some lemon oil or something. StewMac has all that stuff too. That's about it. Find a good tech that you like. Let's see. Robert says, pulling my hair out. How do I connect the SD 3000 EVH to a parallelizer? I'm old and stumped. Well, you take the send out of one of the loops of the parallelizer and plug it into the input, and then you take the outputs. I don't have mine. Oh yeah, I do. It's right there. You take the outputs, which are the first two. So the one that says left mono and right. And then you don't use the effects right. I know it's confusing, but there's the three outputs. So take the one that says underneath the white print. If you're looking at the back, it'll say left mono, use that for the left, and R for the right. Ignore the white print. Plug that into the returns. Now on the delay, you need to go in and turn off kill dry, and I can't remember how to do that. But just look it up in the manual, like how to do effect only output. There's a master setting for that. On the EVH, probably under the master section when you get into the edit. Just kind of search it and find it. You'll find it. Basically turning off kill dry. And then if you're using it in stereo and you want the Eddie Van Halen thing with the delays in the left and the right, you're going to want to use parallel 2 mode for your delays, which was a suggestion of mine to add. Then you've got basically 2 independent delays. The one delay is working on the one side, the other delay is working on the other side, and that'll be, whatever they call them on what do they call them? Oh, I wish I could see. That'd be cool. Digital delay 1, digital delay 2. The 2 buttons. Delay 1 will be on the left and delay 2 will be on the right. And then you can set the presets. Just go to the EVH presets to start, actually, and you can just hear those, and they should sound great. Just bouncing around in stereo, with the kill dry, should sound right. Yes. Steven says, I used to use ClickTrack in my sound desk all the time. ClickTrack don't hear on the recording. I don't know what you mean, but yeah. Hate in-ears, but the sound guys want it. Yeah, but what about the musicians? Sound guys sometimes want it. Some of them don't care. I think there's like a newer thing where it's like a lot of younger people have never even used wedges, so they don't even know how to EQ them, or it's like, because it's just not as common now. But I love that you have talked about intention twice during the stream. To me, nothing is more important. Why do I want to make a sound? Where does the intent come from in your being? Yep, 100%. Like, what's the human? We're playing music, and it's like it's a language, and so what are you trying to say? Yeah, I guess that's what intent is. What are you trying to say? Right? So what's the most efficient way I can communicate that via sound? And that comes from your playing and your tone and everything. Yeah. Do you have any song suggestion that would help with learning to move more around the fretboard when playing solos? Thunderstruck by AC/DC. Learn that lick. Move around the neck. Stairway to Heaven, for like a simple, well, it's not even simple, but the melody moves around, starting, kind of around the not the melody, but the solo starts in the 5th position, and he's moving up the neck gradually all the way up to the 17th position or whatever, right? Moving through. You Shook Me All Night Long by AC/DC, starts in 3rd position and ends up in 15th, and the way that he moves up the neck is really nice. Just a few simple licks to get from one place to another. There's some good ones. There's that super chat. Guitars for your project. Thanks for the super chat. Appreciate that. Have your guitar tech wear those on those particular tunes. He can count you in as long as the drummer knows the plan. You're good. You just hear Roger yelling from the 1, 2, 3, 4. It's an interesting idea. Make somebody else do it. How about? But I've got the solution, which is just the drummer. You know what I mean? I might just say that I don't want to start any tunes. I don't want to start any tunes. Somebody else start, and then I'll come in. Anyways. Joe says your eruption. If to guess who was playing, not knowing it was you, I think it was Eddie. Oh, thanks, man. I spent a long time learning that one back in the day. It's a tough one. The hardest parts for me in eruption are the to get the swing in that and make it sound right, because the bends can tend to tire you out a little bit because you're bending like 5 times on the B. That's part of the light strings is really helpful. And then the next lick is tough. The crazy sort of atonal, big stretch lick after that. Although I've got that pretty good now. The fast pick lick that comes after the little break is especially, you got to be warm, and you got to have to be fast trilling. And I wish I could trill just a little faster. That's the one thing that Eddie had a fast trilling, his left hand was pretty ferocious. And I'm just this slow twitch muscle guy where that's why I play a lot of things like 3 notes per string and stuff. And just, It's just it's something that I have to practice and practice and practice and practice and work up to, just being able to do the descending trills that go down the G right before the tapping part. I'm just letting you know the hard parts for me. That's always been a hard one for me, to get it as fast and fluid as he does it. Yeah. I've actually even cheated at times where I do it with a tap, like, so and then I go into the tapping, the 3-finger or whatever, the 3 triplet tapping, right after that. But I can kind of do the trill down with my first finger and it sounds better. But I try and not do that just because it's cheating. How do you adjust so quickly with the time difference? I'm just good at it, man. I'm good at jet lag now. I don't worry about it either. Like, I don't think about it. I just kind of, and if I have to take a nap, naps are your friend. These days, I'm really good 15-minute napper. I can nap, or even 10 minutes. I can go out and just, when you're sensing that, like, I can set an alarm on my phone, and I'll usually wake up a minute or two before the alarm goes off. I don't know what it is. I just have this real good ability to nap, and it just resets me for a while. So, yeah. Oh yeah. What else? What else? What else? Anyways, yeah. Eli says 100% with you on the in-ears issue. Here's somebody worried about, well, it's Todd. Should I worry about a slight twist in the neck of my Jazzmasters up towards the headstock? Still tunes and intonates great. No, I wouldn't worry about it. If it's not, it could be just a trick of the eye too, or something, I mean, if it becomes a problem, you'll know, and then you can figure out what to do. Good tech can, generally dress into the frets, the little inconsistency or whatever. I wouldn't worry about it. Yeah. Yeah, this is it. My issue with in-ear monitors is I can't escape my sound. You can't mix yourself on stage. Huge. Yeah, that's a big part of the one for me too, is that it's like I wish I could not hear myself so well sometimes, so clinically. So, I don't want to, I want to get away from it sometimes and be able to hear the hi-hat more, or, and I just can hear the crowd and feel the energy way more. I mean, it's a weird, I have this as soon as I take them out thing at a show. It's like, I'm at the show. There we go. And it's just like, it's instant. Like, as soon as I pull it, playing a song, I'm like, I want to not have these in right now. I pull them out and you're like, oh, yeah, that just sounds, I mean, sometimes like a little chaotic because if the room's echoey and stuff, it's, it can be, like, ooh, get those back in if the room sounds like crap, or the stage, or you can't really hear yourself or something. But that's pretty rare. Usually I feel like, oh, it's better without these in. I felt like that for 25 years. Yeah, in-ear monitors with a good stereo mix really helps. Yeah, I mean, that's 100% necessary for me. It has to be as good a mix as possible, like, if it's just beautifully executed, then it's like, okay, I can enjoy this actually. But if it's not, I consider myself a decent mixer, music mixer. So when things are off, it drives me insane. If something, and that goes for front of house and everything else, but also monitors. If something is really loud, or something's not balanced, I just generally like to hear my guitar just a little on top of a really balanced band mix. So if something's out of whack, it really throws me. And then I never have that issue generally when I'm just on stage listening to monitors. I don't think about it, but yeah. What in-ears do you use? So I've used a bunch over the years. Probably the ones I've used the most are my 64 A5s, which are quite good. I've used UE7s from Universal, or whatever they're called, not Universal Audio, Ultimate Ears, excuse me, UE7s. Lately, I've been using the UE, I think they're called 21 Pros or something. Sure, they're crazy top shelf. I've heard really good things about these fur ones, but they're like $2,500. I kind of want to try them, but they're so much money. I've got this pair of French in-ears that I don't know who makes them, but I think they're a triple driver kind of UE7 style. Those sound really good to me, actually. They were, when I played with Milan Farmer, they gave us those for the tour, had mold done and stuff, and they still fit, and I still use them sometimes. And then I've got the ASI ones, which are the ones with the mics. Didn't actually end up using those on this tour. I just used the my new UEs for most of the tour. Yeah. Okay, what else we got here? By the way, try this sometime. I didn't do it, but if has anybody out there got AirPod 2s? The Pro version, AirPod 2s. Man, they've got this noise hearing protection feature on them where they do like almost like an active earplug. You put them in transparency mode and everything. You can hear the world around you, and you can, answer a phone call or listen to your music, but then you can still hear people conversation pretty normally and stuff, right? But if a sound is above a certain thing, it'll attenuate. And that goes for any mode that they're in, whether in noise canceling or whether they're in adaptive mode, that kind of lowers the ambient volume, or whether they're in the full transparency mode. If a loud sound happens, it'll still lower it. And it kind of does it like relatively seamlessly. So if I go to a show or a concert or a loud bar or something where I just don't want all the volume, or I want to hear conversation a little clearer, if somebody's trying to talk to me and it's loud, I'll put those in. And it's kind of amazing. It's like I can really hear, can focus in on voices better and hear things in a crowded environment. And so then I tried them at sound check the other day. I put them in, and it was like, this kind of works. Like, I mean, I'm talking, not an intermix, but just listening to my wedge and the volume on stage of the band. It seems like they might distort a bit when they get a really loud sound hitting them. But other than that, man, like kind of like a nice active earplug situation. So I thought I got to explore this a little more. And then I started looking around going, I wonder if there's any active hearing protection, sort of active earplugs out there where you can lower ambient sound, and almost like what my ASIs do, but without the in-ear feature, more just like yeah, you know what I mean? So kind of cool. But anybody's got them, give it a try. Like when you're playing in a band, let me know what you think. Love the tease on the Sir SL15. Still planning on a full review? Probably, yeah. I'm not sure when they're actually starting to ship them, but yeah. Okay. I should split soon. I've been going for about an hour and 41. I'll go about another 10 minutes. I'm going to split because I got to get into music and stuff. But spent all yesterday trying to pair the micro pitch to the SD3000. Took forever to figure out the signal chain. Yeah, I mean, once you get it, though, it'll be easy. Just have the delay. You're doing the parallelizer, so just have the SD3000 and the put them both in kill dry, and you should have it. You just got to have the kill dry on both units, and then on the SD, make sure you use parallel 2 mode, and you'll have the kind of the Eddie Van Halen thing. Do you play acoustic? Sure. Yeah, not a lot these days, but I do. Yeah. Mm-hmm. I'll be playing acoustic a little bit in the Steve and Joe show. A little bit. What else have we got here? What else before I go? Let's see. Especially in small live venues, wedges are the way to go. Yeah, when you get on a big festival stage, an in-ear situation can be great. Because when you get on those big stages and you got the side fills for guitar and it can be, especially if there's like ramps you got to go down. You aren't going out a ramp and hearing. You got to have your monitor scene really together to have monitors all the way down a ramp. And because once you start getting in front of the PA, you're screwed because there's going to be a delay in the PA, and you're going to start to get off time from the drums. It's a real problem. You have to have loud ass wedges with drums coming through them all the way down the ramp so that you can play. The further and further you get away, you'll get far enough away from the kit where you can't hear the snare on stage anymore, and you start hearing the PA, and then you're screwed if you don't have wedges. So as a matter of fact, when we did the big show in Japan in 2015, the ramp was so long that I mean, literally when I'd get halfway down the ramp or 3/4 the way down and then start hearing the PA, and the delay was like 400 milliseconds, 300 milliseconds. That's what it felt like. It was massive, the amount of delay. And so like there was no using you couldn't have got the wedges loud enough down that ramp to make it work. It just would have been chaos. So used in-ears for that whole show. Yeah. Let's see. 15 watts SL. Do you think it would be reasonable to use that on a power station to make it louder to play bigger gigs? Yeah, sure. I mean, dude, most of the volume of that amp is going to be fine for most things, to be honest. For me, unless you want maximum clean headroom, which on an amp like that, you probably don't, it's like, if you want a rock tone, it's like, you're probably just fine with that, I used, for theaters, I used my PT-15, just one, with a 212 cabinet for, classic rock for a whole tour. One of the tours I did with the PT-15. Actually, I did 2 of them with PT-15, the early ones. And I was fine, man, with just the one head and the cabinet monitoring on stage, it was fine. Back then I was using a PT-15 just to monitor on stage, not even mic'd, and then I had in the in-ears, I had stereo effects. I'd take the output and then run it through the quad cortex and use IRs to the PA, and the quad cortex worked great. It was totally cool with stereo effects and stuff. So the amp on stage didn't have the stereo effects coming out of them, but it was in the PA and I could hear it in the ears and stuff. Yeah. There's Peter up there, I think. Gonna grab your super chat in just a sec here. Hey Pete, when dialing in a Les Paul with an amp, do you dial in the bridge pickup first and then the neck pickup, or the neck pickup first? And I kind of put them where I think they should be visually, and then I listen, and always with a clean sound with no compression or overdrive or anything. Just listen to the tone of the pickups and the balance of the 2 sides. Generally speaking, you got to drop the bass side on the pickups a little bit. So the 6-string side, have that down a little lower than the high strings. And then just go in between all 3 positions to listen for the balance. If one pickup, a lot of times the neck pickup can be really loud, because it's just, you got to drop it more into the ring to balance it with the bridge pickup. Yeah. Just using your ears, Yeah. Yeah. Someone could make a fortune with in-ears with realistic space in them. Well, that's kind of the ASIs do that, but I just, yeah. If I really wish that somebody would come up with a, just a great version that just had the active part built in. I don't know how you do that, but because you got to get power to the mics. I mean, I guess it's just a cable thing. I don't know. It can't be that complicated. I don't know. I mean, if they can do it in AirPods, AirPods have mics in them. So, Brooks says, can't stand in-ears for all the reasons you mentioned. Perfect articulation feels so unnatural. I don't want to write inside my ears. I want the air and the space. They mess with my bliss. Yeah, they don't. They make me sad sometimes. Yeah. Yeah. Okay, I'm gonna grab those super chats. There's Peter. What's up, man? Videos this week? None, my friend. I'm sorry, because I'm. This is my crunch time where I committed a while ago to learning all the music for my upcoming touring. So I'm practicing guitar for 2 weeks. That's what I'm doing. So a little YouTube break, but I'll be back here for Sunday Live next week for sure. Now, come April, I've got a bunch of stuff to get to video wise. So there'll be amp stuff, there'll be pedal stuff, all kinds of things that I'm going to get to in April and May. But yeah, I need a couple more weeks to just do the hard shedding on the guitar. Yeah. Yep. But I'll be here for Sunday Live, I promise. And thank you for the super chat. Appreciate it. As long as you set and forget, just pull one ear out. Problems arise only if you keep turning up your mix. This is the only way I've been able to deal with ears. Yeah, I don't really like the one ear out thing. It's supposed to not be great for your ears either, I've heard. But I do that sometimes for like part of a song, just to, You know what I mean? But then I always end up taking them all the way out. It's either both in or both out for me. So, yeah. Yep. I've always wanted a Gibson Hummingbird, but never had a chance to play one. What are your thoughts? I don't have a Hummingbird, but I have a Sheryl Crow, which is sort of similar. It's a like a country western, just kind of almost like maybe I guess they were out at the same time as a Hummingbird. It's just a little less ornate than a Hummingbird. I like those guitars. I mean, that kind of, it's the same body shape and everything. It's a very similar guitar to what you're talking about. I really like old ones. They were almost like the step up from a J45, I guess. Just a little more guitar, or at least more ornate, you know. Not the slope shoulder body, a little different body, more like, I guess it's a dreadnought body, really. But I like them. You know, and they look great. You know, cool looking guitar. It's got this kind of distinctly Gibson American vibe going on for sure. What are your thoughts on the Marshall SV20H? I think they're really good. They terrific amp, you know, for what it is. They did a good job on the SV20s. Sounds like a little baby Plexi. And they're a nice mod platform. You can get in and kind of tweak them and do different stuff too. Yeah. Thanks for that super chat, by the way. You've done a lot of demos on effect pedals that are copying guitar amps. Are there any pedals out there that sound like your signature PT? I mean, you know, the BEOD or maybe the small box are pretty great at doing that Marshall, you know, gain boost in front of a Marshall thing. So those would be two choices. The Sir Riot is actually a really, really good pedal for a good, you know, all-around distortion box. I really like the Engine from Drybell. That's a really good one for that sound. Yeah, look at those ones, I would say. All right, it's 1:52. I'm going to split just to get into practice mode here and doing stuff, but it's great to be back here, and this was fun. Great to have all you guys here. Great questions. And next Sunday will be, let's see, what will next Sunday be? The 16th. So I'll be here then. I'll be here and looking forward to it. And hopefully by this time next week, I'm would shed it into new beginnings, you know? And I will have done a lot of work this week. So hey, everybody, I really appreciate you. Thanks so much. Thanks for being here, and I'll see you next time. Be nice to one another and all that good stuff. It's a crazy world, but not here. Here we're sane, right here in this little world right here. It's fantastic. See y'all. Have a great week.